my husband does not understand how I feel. No, wait, he doesn't care how I feel. If you've ever said these words, because when you tell your husband how you're feeling, he responds by giving you a solution that will fix your feeling. I want to just demystify this a little bit because I'm learning some really interesting information about how the male brain and the female brain are so different. And I think it really helps. Like, this information helps us to feel compassion towards our partner, and also to understand that they're not doing what they're doing because they don't care. I think that's the most distressing thing for women, is to think my husband is doing this thing because he doesn't care about me and he doesn't care about how I'm feeling. And I can tell you with almost 100% certainty that is not the reason why he's doing any of the things that he's doing. So let me try to demystify this a little bit, okay? As humans, we actually have two emotional processing systems in our brain. One of them is what women and what society describes as empathy. It's called emotional empathy, and it's where we use our mirror neurons to figure out what's going on inside another person's body in terms of their feelings, their thoughts. It's the way that we feel heard and understood as women. So when you go to a girlfriend or your mom or sister and tell her about your problems, she's going to be like, oh my gosh, I can imagine how that feels. You must feel disappointed or so frustrated, right? Like, she sits there with you. She's like in it, and you leave that conversation being like, I feel so heard. She really understands what I'm going through. Then you go and talk to your partner, your male partner, about it, and he's like, did you try doing it this way? And you're like, I don't need you to give me solutions. I need you to understand me. So the way that females process information, and males have this system as well, but they don't use it as much. They use a different system that females don't use as much. The way that females process information, emotional information, is by emotionally empathizing. We can almost like mind read how you might be feeling, what you might be thinking, what this experience is doing to you emotionally. And there's a lot of evolutionary reasons why we've evolved this way. I mean, there's a lot of biological reasons. It helps us to stay more in tune with our kids' needs when, before they can speak. It helps us to read danger cues in another person as kind of the weaker sex physically. We have to be able to tell if someone's angry, if someone's happy. Like, we have to be able to know, like, what's going on with this person so that we know if we're in danger or not. Men don't need to do this as much. In the male brain, where he has a ton of testosterone and a bunch of other hormones in greater quantities than a woman might have them, he goes to a different emotional processing system, which is called cognitive empathy. So the way that a man feels when he looks at a woman who is crying or upset, it actually pains him. It feels, his mirror neurons activate, and he feels that feeling incredibly strongly. And then he shuts it down quickly because it feels uncomfortable and it's not productive to finding a solution. And so he goes more to the cognitive empathy processing system. Now, this is not a conscious choice. This is what his hormones dictate to him to do. And so they go straight to the cognitive empathy. So they feel the emotional empathy for a second, and they feel it deeply. Then their brain switches them over to cognitive empathy. Cognitive empathy basically tells them, fix this problem and don't let emotions get in the way. And so they filter out all of the emotional information that you're giving them. So the way that your eyes are welling up with tears, like the way that you look, so disappointed. He's not thinking about how disappointed you are. He's thinking, let me solve this problem so I can be her hero. I can help her figure this out. And she doesn't have to feel this way anymore, because it sucks to feel this way. I don't want her feeling this way. And so he provides you with a solution, and he feels really, really proud of himself and happy that he came up with a solution. And then you're like, that's not what I need from you. And he just kind of deflates because he's trying to help. I think an important thing to realize here is that it's not a choice that your partner is making. They are not saying, I'm going to not empathize with my wife right now because I just don't think she's important enough. That is not what's going on. Their hormones are dictating what to pay attention to. It's similar to if you've ever been through PMS, or perimenopause or any kind of hormonal fluctuation. You know that your whole experience of what you're paying attention to and how things are interpreted in your brain is different based on your hormones. Our hormones dictate so much that we're not even aware of. And so giving your partner the benefit of the doubt is really helpful because actually in that moment, he's not able to process your emotional information that you're giving him. He's not able to process, he's not able to filter in the things that you want him to filter in because his brain has already jumped to another circuit and it's looping and looping and looping until it finds a solution to the problem. And so oftentimes, I'll see women giving their husbands like pointers, like, just like sit with me and let me be sad and then tell me I see that you're sad. This is really, really practical and can help a lot of couples, but there are some men that just cannot sit next to you while you're feeling this way because they so badly want to protect you from your feelings, right? And this doesn't make them bad, and it doesn't mean that they have no empathy. They feel things just as deeply as we do, and some scientists believe even more deeply. But they also know how to shut it down, and they're expert problem solvers. So what can you do about this? I mean, I think the first thing to understand is that we're different and that's okay, right? So a little bit of acceptance goes a long way when it comes to opposite sex relationships. We are so different that we will not be able to firsthand understand why our partner acts the way that they do, but what we can do is give them the benefit of the doubt. When we think that they are just, poorly behaved women, like when we think that, oh, he knows how to empathize with me, he just won't do it, or it's too much work, so he just won't put in the work. Like when we view them that way, then it makes us feel terrible because that means we have someone in our lives that's not going to care about us. And it also degrades them. Like it kind of diminishes what they're doing. They're trying to care about us in the way that they know how. In fact, your husband or male partner solving your problem for you, trying to offer up solutions, is how he shows you that he cares so much what you're going through. He is putting time and effort into coming up with a solution. So understanding that we're different and that we show our care in very different ways is the first step. That's the first thing that you can do to just like relieve some of that tension inside of you. And when your husband is looking at you like, oh, why don't you just do it this way, and not mirroring back your facial expressions and not showing you that he deeply empathizes with you on an emotional level, recognize that that's him showing how he cares about you. There is such freedom in that because that means, oh, I'm not unloved. That's our deepest fear, right? That we're not going to be loved. Oh, I'm actually not unloved. Like this is him putting time and effort into helping me. And then you can go ahead and, let him know what would be more helpful. But I think some appreciation can also go a long way. Like, thank you for sitting with me and trying to solve a problem. But here's the thing that I think is most helpful is letting him know beforehand what you want him to do. So it's a simple disclaimer, right? I'm feeling so upset about this thing. I just want to vent for 5 minutes. And I just want you to sit here and listen to me vent. Is that cool with you? He'll say yes or no. And then also ask, is this a good time? Because if you catch him at a time when his brain, which is single focused and it can't take in all of the information at once the way that a female brain can, it's focused on one thing. Ask him, is this a good time first, right? If it's not a good time, he will let you know what a better time is. He'll say something like, let me just finish this game that I'm playing on my phone. And even though we might think that's not important, to him it's important in that moment, right? So let me just finish this game I'm playing and then I'm all yours, and he will actually do that. He will finish his game and he will say, okay, I'm ready. Like, let's talk, So if you catch him, if you ask him what's a good time, and then if you disclaimer, let him know, I just need to vent for 5 minutes. Are you okay with that? Like, can I just vent for 5 minutes and you just sit there and not? He will do it. If you give him clear instructions, he will do it. And then later on, you can ask, what did you think about that? And then sit back and let him offer some solutions that you may not have thought of. There is a way that we can work really, really well together, but I think our instincts and the way that we view our partner's intentions is what gets in the way. So hopefully this has cleared up a little bit of that, like, my husband needs empathy training, like he doesn't know how to sit with my feelings. Hopefully this has just shed a little bit of light on that. And I try it out. Try the disclaimer, try waiting for a good time, asking him what's a good time, and letting him know exactly how he can support you. And then also try like appreciating the suggestions that he does give, because I don't know, like when I'm in an open state and able to hear my partner's suggestions, I find they're quite brilliant and different than what I would have come up with. And letting him know that can help him feel so loved by you too, which then creates this like cycle of appreciation in your relationship.